All right, former CIG employee speaks out about Star Citizen's design trajectory and money burn. That, those two words together is something I have always been worried about with Cloud Imperium. Money and burn. Because as a developer, you go through a crazy amount of cash to keep the dream alive, man. Like the money burn and the churn is in game development. Forget about it, man. Forget about it. So I'm wondering who the employee is. There's an article here that I'm going to put in the description for Massively Overpowered. There's also a Reddit post right here from the actual employee. Maybe we'll read this in a second, but I saw that Board Gamer had already released a video about this. So let's see if he can encapsulate this, and then maybe we can go back to the letter.
Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen.
What we think.
There's been a Reddit post from ex-CIG employee Ray Rucroft. I believe he was customer service manager at the time, titled "Prior CIG employee recently released Something Has to Change."
Wait, this dude was a customer service manager? Is that what this dude was? Is that his position? Do I need to go back and verify that? Board Gamer's pretty good with his information. So first off, let's keep it in mind. No offense to the customer service people out there. Trust me. Christy, freaking A, man. She's been working phones for salespeople at an insurance company that literally just laid her off after she'd been working there for 17 years like she was trash. They just got rid of her. And by the way, honey, I love you. And she's going through a whole bunch of crap, right? And she worked phones all the time. So I'm not trying to diminish people that are working phones, that are helping people. Customer service is something sorely needed by America. Trust me. Anytime I try and get customer service, it's horrible. It's either AI or somebody from another country, and I can't understand what it is that they're trying to tell me, and I'm not even trying to be mean about that. I'm just telling you as a dude using a phone in my ears. You know, like, so here's the thing. I respect people in customer service, but when I'm talking to an ex-CIG employee who's delegated, whose job is to be in the customer service area, you know, like if he is giving opinions on game development, just saying.
Now, stuff like that, make up your own mind. However, I'm always in the opinion of ex-employees are typically going to be a bit bitter, take everything with a heap of salt, but we do cover all things Star Citizen here. Also, I don't believe this has anything to do with any wider CIG layoffs. They have been debunked. We do, however, know that Cloud Imperium do want employees to be working from the office where possible and sensible. They don't want their employees to be constantly and always working remotely.
Dude. I believe it was a horrible weekend for us last weekend.
In the UK as well at the moment, because I believe that labour there is effectively very cheap with government incentives and pretty low wages. The lengthy post starts. For all levels of Star Citizen fans, I thought I'd get this out as both...
Okay, so Futz says this guy has had other positions in Cloud Imperium before he ended up in customer service. Okay, good to know, Futz. Thank you.
Backer, then an employee of CIG, then a backer.
Yeah,
I was employed with CIG for over 7 years. Prior to my employment, I was a backer for 2 years, and it was my dream job to be able to help make this dream project come true. Unfortunately, that came to a fold this year. I want to make this abundantly clear. My opinion is what I'm giving, not fact. I'm expressing this as an educated person on both sides of the fence. Twice, backer, employee, backer, and believe my experience is worthwhile posting. I have always and will always hold a fond memory of CIG in my heart. Everyone was so welcoming. I made some fantastic friends, and they treated me well through my entire employment. Whether it was a HR assistance or COVID goodie bags to get you through the gloom, they put out the stops, and I will always admire them for that. When I walked into the office at Winslow way back when we were a ragtag team ready to shape the world, we did, up to a point. Where the problem arises is through the project itself. We worked tirelessly to deliver on every front: support, sales, marketing, trailers, marketing, art, QA,
oh, she lost her job, half
experience, and the lot.
After 17 years, just cut her like she was nothing.
It seems, was the game itself. Don't get me wrong, the devs at CIG are very talented. I see comments like, it must be a stain against you to work at CIG. Those commenters are forgetting the revolutionary tech that's been created along the way, and they should be applauded for that. They are making tools and systems that will be used for games seen for generations to come, so please put the respect for them that they deserve. Also, not only do I see negative comments about individuals within CIG, but I've also been personally doxxed by a certain man called DS himself. Apparently, I was meeting with people in car parks to share project secrets and should be waterboarded. His words. Imagine doing your day-to-day job and having to put up with that. Please take into consideration that there are really great people who are working on this project with no skin in the game and who just want to do the best job they can. They shouldn't be belittled by the entire internet. On to business. I was a veteran of the project with over 7 years experience in multiple departments, having been instrumental in setting up some of them, and having unique knowledge of systems within Europe. I moved my home closer to work. My fantastic wife enabled me to move.
I don't know. And then he ends up as the customer service manager after having multiple positions. It sounds like he's really building himself up on this one. Instrumental, like he's super important. You know, like there's no humility here in this post. You know, everything he did was super instrumental to creating the company. It's like, why have I never really heard of this guy before if he's so instrumental? But hey, okay. All right, let's keep going. Perhaps he was.
Closer to work, and she got a different job so I could progress.
Yeah, what departments, right?
I was dismissed. Not for poor performance. I didn't buy it.
Listen, and let's take this with a grain of salt here too. I like what Orson said because that's what I'm thinking. Orson says, "Okay, but what departments?" So you know we know customer service, but how about a list of other departments that you were in, perhaps, so that we can give a little more validity in this. In your opinions, which is, you know, really what's the point of all of this if we don't feel like the source is that credible, right? You know, it's very vague. we have gotten no details other than he ended up in the customer service as a customer service manager. Now, let me tell you, as somebody, I was in sales. I was never in the customer service line of things, but I did have to make people, you know, happy in a certain way. Oh, so many ways. I won't even talk about it. It's disgusting. But I can tell you when you're dealing with people and you're on the front line and you have to get barraged by the vomit, right? And it just flies on your face and some of it sticks. And at the end of the day, you can't even wipe it off. You're like, I got to take a shower because it was so bad from people. You're on the front lines. You are the meat shield. You understand? Do you understand what I'm saying? So these types of people in these positions, they have to deal with the drama. They are front lines on the crazy internet battles and the toxic clickbait articles. And, you know, they're right there in the fact of it. And the angry, disgruntled fans that want a return and a refund. And what is this? And I saw a YouTube video that said you guys suck and blah, 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 blah. So let's just keep that in mind with this dude, right? He had all that bottled up in him. Like that dude had like all that like bottled up in him, right? So like that stuff can vent out everywhere. When you're that type of position and you're dealing with that vibe, that emotion all day, it bleeds out into everything. I mean, and do you blame the people for them to like, you know, they're literally, they dealt with vomit the entire day. Let them vomit a little bit, right? But like now it kind of goes into everything else, you know, like, oh, you know, like it kind of like bleeds into them, you know, so there is that factor to this as well.
And had a colleague of mine attend my last meeting to make sure I wasn't missing something, surely they wouldn't get rid of someone who was a high-performing asset who could have been useful to any team within CIG, who could have helped steer the ship essentially. I want to reiterate, everything is my opinion and not indicative of CIG, their reputation, spending, project trajectory, employees, etc. In my opinion, they have incorrectly calculated their trajectory and player spending through 2023 and beyond. I believe that after so many years of the project not delivering, it's time to start grasping at small straws at least. I believe the fact that I don't want to play the game because the progress resets, the features are not complete, the guides are atrocious, and in general, the future is unclear for anyone at any level.
Entry level, getting into Star Citizen is an absolute debacle. That is correct. I will agree with his opinion on that. There should be a much better beginning experience to get into the game, period. Right? However, once in, It shouldn't be all hand-holding either, because it is a sandbox. It's your classic MMO sandbox. Exploration is key. Exploring is fun. Finding out things the hard way is also fun. So you have to be careful on this sequence of events when you have an introductional kind of sequence from buying, from pledging, to getting in and downloading, and then playing it for the first time. There needs to be something, though. There needs to be something better than what exists right now. So I will agree with his opinion on that.
Shows CIG really needs to change their stance on what they do, how they do it, and how they communicate it.
And by the way, the project has delivered for many of us. Like, yeah, right. Aether says, after so many years of the project not delivering. Wow, that's not a loaded statement, is it? Yeah, I mean, like, for people that are very... First off, for people that understand what's trying to be done here, most of us can wait. Most of us are adults and we understand it. Yes, you get worried because it's ship sale after ship sale after ship sale. And you start to think to yourself, man, is this just about ship sales? And you know what the answer is right now? I'm going to tell you, and this is going to piss everybody off. It pisses me off even saying this because I'm a gamer. The answer to that question is ship sales are the most important thing. And I hate that. I fucking hate it. I hate saying it. I hate agreeing with myself to that statement. But it has to be, because the amount of money that they're going through in the real world is crazy. They need cash. And the only way they can bring in cash is through ships. And it can get crazy focused on ships and ship sales. And the reason for it is that's what keeps them alive. That's what keeps the dream alive. The frustration comes in when you ask yourself how they're managing it inside. And I have said this from 2016 till now, and I still say it. I think the communication between the divisions and the teams needs to be better. I think the management needs to step up and make better decisions. I've said this for a long time. I love the fact that they reported a profit. I love it. As a company, it shows that they're financially healthy in a hard time. But like I said, before I even got snippets of news clips today, that they're having trouble with their expenses, I said this. I said this 2 weeks ago on the last after party. They're going to have to be careful from this point forward, because they're making a lot of snafus in the eyes of the public for the most part, and revenues could go down. Again, we are in a cyclical low right now of sentiment, because we are at the point where we hit in this cycle of Star Citizen Yearly right before CitizenCon. And then hopefully CitizenCon is average, meets expectations, right? Because if it isn't, if CitizenCon disappoints, like if CitizenCon scores a below average score this year, watch out, because people are going to really start talking with their pocketbook, man. And revenues will go down. I'm telling you right now, they will not hit the projected numbers for 2024. They won't get near it if CitizenCon doesn't in some way deliver something to the masses. Now, generally speaking, it does. Again, I got to get people to realize where we are at because I've been doing this for so long, and a lot of the veterans here are going to agree with this. This is a cycle. We've seen it year after year after year. Every year it becomes a little bit more pronounced because there's more adoption. There's more people that come to it. But lately, there's been a lot of trips publicly. That's why I think they need to focus on PR. And what's going to happen in 2024? They won't make the sales that they did in 2023. And they might have to cut. They might have to start cutting. We are, after all, in somewhat of a bear market. We don't know what we're in right now. WTF is happening. Our dollar continues to get devalued. Things continue to inflate around us. The government wants to raise the federal fund rate till everything breaks. And then they just print more money to take care of the problem, to reboot the system. It's sick. Like, we're at a point of sickness, right? And going into an environment like this, seeing Cloud Imperium was growing this whole time, doing great. Now we're going into 2024. They're going to have to be very careful here. They're going to have to be very careful here.
In my opinion, they have over-invested in the Manchester office that they've just built. They are more bothered with the wall art than they are about investing in additional staff. I personally saw a hiring freeze while spending multiple dollars on making the office look like a piece of space art.
I hope so, Aether.
It's fantastic
I really
to walk
do.
into, but as soon as I found out I was being laid off, I looked at everything differently. Some of the art was the same as my salary or multiple people's salaries. Looking up the costs of office furniture not equipment, you could pay someone with 2 office fitments. 2. There are a large number of offices, and when I heard the hiring freeze kicked in and that they were having layoffs, I had to speak my mind. The future of this project, they have to keep generating additional cash or it suffers. If you do not spend more money, there of course may be repercussions. I can't offer my exact recommendation because my good friends lose their jobs and they are fantastic at their jobs and don't deserve it all. That being said, in my opinion, everyone who's buying any and all items offered is propping up the project. I was there during the Cutlass Steel pricing. I suggested a ceiling figure of the ship based on its capabilities in comparison to the other Cutlass ships and its competitors. The Cutlass Black is notoriously undervalued, but still. Despite my recommendations, the price got hiked because surely people will buy it. It's a Cutlass. This is a perfect example of what happens when people vote with their wallets. It makes them realise that it was a bad decision and that they should learn going forward. I think this is the key to going forward for the entire project. I think that the team can deliver key gameplay improvements going forward that encourage players to play and return rather than trying to drip feed concepts to people who may never...
Yeah, it's of no consequence what art is going into this building or how much it costs to this dude, right? This guy's like looking at art on the wall in Manchester, mind you, right? And he's like upset at the amount of the artwork, the price of the art on the walls, man. Aether says, so this is it. So this guy is butthurt because he was laid off, but they have money to buy art. This is reductionist. Unfortunately, the art budget for new offices and whether you are kept are rarely connected. Yes. You know, like...
fly them. I'm looking at you, BNN, Danny Metchman. People play the CCU game to get a $500 ship for $250. That's insane. I personally won't be spending a nickel or dime until the game is delivered because I became a concierge.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you guys for being with me.
I still don't want to play the game as it is today, which hurts me because I contributed directly to it and want it to succeed.
Amen.
I'm not going to perpetually test a product that at this point should be released. Despite every conversation I had, despite every advantage I had for myself in the company, I was laid off, and I'm so thankful I was. I now have more time with my family, which is the most important thing to me. I now work for a company where every contribution I make is heard, and more importantly, it makes an impact on the company itself. I would never have left CIG if I wasn't pushed. I worked
This is a person who wants to feel more important than they were. Maybe they were supposed to be that important, but this is a person who was in a position that wasn't happy, that was moved around department to department. There is a reason that a person continually gets moved around to a department, to department, to department before they get fired, right? Like, oh, Ted doesn't seem to be getting along with the accounting today. Okay, well, let's give him another week or two and let's move Ted over to the warehouse and let's see if Ted actually enjoys the warehouse. So Ted goes to the warehouse. Ted, get this shit in order. 2 weeks later, you got your warehouse crew coming to you complaining and bitching about Ted. Then you talk with your upper manager and you say, okay, Ted didn't work out in the warehouse, right? Then your boss says, all right, listen. Try Ted, put him behind a counter. Okay, Let's try putting Ted behind a counter. Hey, Ted, I got something new for you to do today. We're going to try you behind the counter, do a little counter sales or something today. Ted, how do you think about that? Then 2 weeks later, you get less customers coming in because they're upset at Ted. And Ted's fucking up in every fucking department. Okay, so like, let's just get real about this. This is what I'm hearing. This is a guy who wants to feel more important than he is, and good for him. He should want that, right? Go out and find a job where they're going to actually listen to what it is you have to say. But Ted, listen to me. If you've worked, I don't know what this guy's name is. If you've worked in all these different departments and it just didn't seem like you fit in or anything that you said was important, it probably was because what I'm trying to get across to you is you didn't really fit in, and that's okay. Sometimes that happens, right? Sometimes there's a Ted, right? It doesn't mean Ted was an asshole. Maybe just Ted had something going on, right? Now Ted's upset, but he's happier now. So good for you, Ted.
Yes, you're not gonna eat me.
Yeah. What's this dude's name? I don't know who this dude's name is. I don't know why Ted is his name. I feel like he could be a Ted. But there you go. That I'm just gonna. You want reductionist, Aether? I just reduced this down. Are you happy that I reduced this down, Aether? This is where you needed the reductionist to come in, right, my friend? What's up, Okami? What's up, Reload? What's up, Bod Dude? Glad to see everybody join in and following tonight. Thanks for all the new follows. I hope you guys are enjoying yourself. I know when people follow, they can't speak for 10 minutes, but that's because people tend to type stupid stuff when they just enter. And so Pepe had to put that 10-minute filter in. So you will be able to talk soon. Do not worry. We are all waiting to hear what you have to say. Let's get to the next thing, shall we?